So fundamentally, what we're looking to do, is actually, we're trying to put in some kind of data governance framework, find the problems, investigate the underlying causes, put in fixes, remedial actions, but then make it sustainable, monitor it and make it sustainable, because we don't want to do it as that quick, smart missile, fire, forget. We don't want to do that. We want to actually make sure that it's there, it's enduring, it's going to be there forever. Okay, and a good, very simple data quality framework. So turning that previous one, turning that circle into reality is something like this. Identify the issues, make sure they get logged. Allocate them to analysts, data quality analysts, improve it. You do this every day, don't you? Yeah. So he's the expert. He's the ninja doing this for real. Okay. Can you see he's a data ninja? Doing this for real. We've got to have some kind of governance, some kind of coordination. So whether we call it the data quality management or the data governance coordinating group, that's more for data governance to decide. Do root cause analysis, actually get to the real reason. And this is where the pain, up to this point, it's kind of been fun, but from here onwards, it starts to get painful, is in the source systems or in the business processes. And we've got to now have those difficult discussions about what we're going to do about the legacy, those legacy business systems that have been around for the last 20 years, or they've been built on the mainframe, or they were built with consultants from, I don't know, I better not name names. Exactly, and there's the big resistance to change. So there's been patch upon fix upon patch upon patch upon patch. Okay? But if you don't go back to the real root cause, it's just going to come back every time. So we do root cause analysis, and this is where management now start to earn their money, because they have to decide, make a decision, as to what you want to do about it. You propose. Are you okay with this word, remediation? That's the very fancy word for fix. You propose remediation activities, and that might include batching several problems together, because we see a common set of problems. Okay, but that's not enough. That's absolutely not enough. There's going to be cleansing the data. That stuff I showed you earlier with the zigzag. We go and cleanse the data. We change the systems. We might even change some of the business processes. But we've got to make sure that it's sustainable. We don't want that stuff to come back.
One question.
Yeah.
Don't you think we have to start with prevention and then remediation?
Well, this is coming. So the remediation is going to come back up here. Sorry, the prevention is going to come here, where it's effectively closing the loop. So I've deliberately not put the arrow back in, but in that previous picture, absolutely right. So this was your monitor and prevent to stop it all happening again. Okay. So here we're actually doing things like, training, education, controls, validation, etc., to stop that kind of thing happening again. Yeah. It is. It's there, that total prevention. Yeah.
Prevention action before the corrective action. Right?
Yeah, for example, let's say we have gender culture coming on.
Yeah.
So what we should do, we should fix it by back or prevent, then fix it.
Oh, absolutely, and that's absolutely, that's a completely valid thing, is you can put that at that point. I was just being very linear then. Yeah. Okay. You happy with the general approach? Yeah? Okay. Right. So we've got something called dimensions of data quality, and I'm just going to very briefly talk about some of that, because I want to get to a nice little exercise that I prepared for you. So you're not going to escape without doing some work, okay? dimensions of data quality. So this is quite good. Socrates, the beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms. Okay, and here, what's necessary is we make ourselves understood. And the whole point behind this is that there's a lot of language used in data management and in data quality in particular. There's a lot of language that we need to be really clear about. And we call these aspects or these characteristics of data quality, we call them dimensions of data quality. And like everything in life, the more money, the more time, the more effort you spend, the better it can be. All right? So let's have a little look. First, has anybody heard this term, dimensions of data quality? You have. I should hope so too. Anyone else? Okay. So if you went and Googled dimensions of data quality, how many dimensions of data quality are there? You'd get many answers. It wouldn't even be, it depends. Some places would say 6, some would say 7, some would say 8, some would say 18, some would say 11. And this is from different vendors, different organizations. I'm going to tell you about the best lot, which is Dama UK, Experian, a couple of others. It's the most common set where there's 6 dimensions of data quality. And here they are. Okay, right. So these are all, so another word for dimension of data quality would be an aspect or a characteristic of data quality. So in no particular order, validity, I'm going to do these ones, I'll just jump between them. So validity, I won't read those words out, I'll just explain it in simple terms. So validity, we're probably all familiar with this kind of one, is it has to be the right format, or it has to be in an approved drop-down list. Okay, so really simple. Since we were talking about gender, forget California, but broadly speaking, we'd say gender has to be male or female or not declared. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Yeah. So you can't put in your own value. Or date of birth. Date of birth has to be DD, MM, YYYY. It has to be a valid date of birth. Okay. So that's what validity is. Hold that thought, because the next slide I've got some where people confuse stuff. Next, accuracy. So this is how it relates to the real world thing. So accuracy. Have you all got a watch or something now? If I was to say the time is 10 o'clock, is that accurate? No. That doesn't relate to the real world thing. So accuracy is how close it is to the real world thing. There's many ways of being able to test this, but ultimately accuracy is your end goal. These other ones are intermediary steps. Consistency. There's many aspects of consistency. How consistent. Self-defining. How similar is it to other values, but also how interrelated is it? So give you a great example. Who on the internet has got as frustrated as I do when you go to an American website or an ordering website, you order something and it says, what's your name, your address, and when you get to the address bit, it will say state. Yeah? Okay. So do you live? So you live in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, Ohio? Because there's nothing there that says Central Province. Okay. Same for me. Bath, England, state. Other. What I've done now is I keep picking British Columbia because I think, it's kind of British, So, okay. So, is that state valid? Yes. Yeah? Is it a valid state? Yes. Is United Kingdom a valid country? Yes. Is that country and that state consistent? No. You see, there's no kind of integrity between. That's a really neat one. Okay, hold that thought because we've got a fun example in a minute. Completeness. So if I've got 100 fields, and do I have to have all 100 completed? There's only two answers, guys. One of them's yes, one of them's no. Oh, actually, one of them, there's three. And the other is, and that's the answer, is it depends. So depending on what your completeness that you set is, it may or may not be all 100 fields. It might be that there's 10 fields that are mandatory, and we've got to have 50% of the others there. Oh, I've made that difficult now, 45. So you've got to have 55 fields to be complete, but there's 10, it's got to be 10, and then it's 45 from the other 90. So completeness is very much what proportion against the rules that you're setting for that business area have been entered. Okay, so that's what completeness is. Uniqueness is easy on an individual field. So for a customer ID, you would hope that customer ID is unique. Yeah? What about the whole customer record? A row. Should be unique. How many of you ever get duplicated mailings or duplicated, post items? Yeah, regularly. And it's so my name. So my middle name's Michael. So Christopher Michael Bradley. And there's another customer which is Mr. C.M. Bradley, but it's the same postcode, the same date of birth. Okay, it's two customer records. So when we're talking about uniqueness by the whole record, we now have to do something, deduplication, identify, is that really the same person? Okay. So that's what uniqueness is about. Yeah?
The opposite of redundancy.
Redundant, kind of, yeah. And then lastly, timeliness is how close to, if you like, the event of the data, the thing changing, is it recorded? So if your bank balance, changes and the bank reconciles every night, then when you look at the ATM in the morning, you go to an ATM in the morning, that's absolutely fine. But what if that was data about flying an aircraft? Is that okay to have the timeliness, once every 6 hours for the update of that data? No, because you'd be very dead by then, wouldn't you? Okay. What about changing a country code? Once every 6 months is probably okay. So it's great actually being a consultant with this. How timely does the data need to be? You're not playing along here. It depends, absolutely. Ladies, you can do this as well. It depends. Very good. Yeah, so that's absolutely right. So all of these dimensions of data quality, we can put many measures behind these dimensions. There can be lots and lots and lots of measures behind these, and it's how much money, how much time, how much effort, how ultimately accurate do you want that data to be is really helpful. What about this? Okay, what about this one? Gender, male, female. I'm not going to go into this. If anybody afterwards wants to know what the 9 values are in California, I'll tell you the 9 value. But okay, but gender, male, female. Is that valid? Yes. Okay. Medical treatment area. So anybody work in health at all? So there's the dictionary. There's the 3 tiers. The dictionary of medicine. So at the very top level, it's like oncology, hematology, geriatrics, obstetrics. You might not know those words, guys. You probably know, oncology is cancer, hematology is blood, geriatrics is old age, pediatrics is children. Obstetrics is Yeah, yeah, and there's things related as well. So you've got obstetrics. You've also got gynecology. Sorry, gynecology as well. Why didn't I list gynecology? Should have been on there. So gynecology, perfectly valid medical area. Genders, perfectly valid area. I've seen this in a couple of medical organisations where if you believed the data, you've got several of these hanging around. Pregnant males. Why? Because they've confused validity with accuracy. They've said it was a valid medical area. It's a valid gender, but was it consistent? Did it have integrity? No, exactly. So there we go. That's photoshopped, as you can probably gather. Right, we're going to skip this a bit. I'll just tell you so that when you get the slides after, because so at least you know. It's increasingly difficult to sort of do the impact, to understand the impact of data quality on a business process. So you can ask these kind of things, and it gets harder and more expensive the more up you get. But this is why I want to have a look at this thing here, 5 whys, because this is to do with root cause analysis. So we're going to have a good look at root cause analysis. Okay. So just pause a sec, and I'll skip on to that. Dimensions. Can anybody remember any of those 6 dimensions? Timeliness. Uniqueness. Validity. Completeness. We've had timeliness. Consistency. And the ultimate goal, accuracy. Yeah, very good. Well remembered. Well done. Okay, oops. I didn't mean that to happen. This build is terrible. Okay, so easier if I do it on here actually. So when you are looking at data, there's a few things to bear in mind that you want indicators that are going to be of use. Has anybody done HR? Has anybody done personnel reviews before? Setting objectives? SMART objectives? Have you ever heard of that? SMART objectives? Yeah, do you know what SMART stands for? Achievable, realistic, and timely. So that's what SMART objectives are. This is now for data Wi-Fi, it's for data quality. You're going to have to pull this back, and then we'll probably quit it after this because this is just killing me. For data quality, we have an abbreviation called TARMAC. So TARMAC for our metrics. The T stands for it has to be trackable. The metric has to be trackable. A stands for, I can't remember. Oh yes, acceptable. So we have to know what does good look like. There's no point in saying if it's a car that the temperature of the oil is 161 degrees centigrade, because is that good in a car, oil temperature? It's okay, yeah, my race car, that's cold, So that's why we have a green and a red and a whatever the other colours are, orange band. So we have to know acceptable. It has to be relevant. There's no point in saying, for when you're running your car, there's no point in saying there's a T in the day of the alphabet, the day of the month. It has to be relevant. It has to actually be measurable. You've got to be able to measure it. There has to be accountability, which is saying every data quality indicator has got, is owned, and C for controllable. What steps do you take in order to do something about that indicator? So as a very simple example, cars, you're driving a car and it's the water temperature gauge starts to go up, all right? So in that case, we can track the temperature of the water. We do know what good looks like. You know, good is meant to be in the green band, okay? Relevant, is it relevant to the well-being of our car? Yeah, it is relevant. Can we actually measure it? Yes, there's a thermocouple, there's a sensor, you know, that leads to the gauge. Who's accountable for doing something about it? The driver or the mechanic. And controllable, so if it gets too hot, what's the action? Slow down, pull over, you know, stop the car for a while. I think that's quite a neat little example about talking through all of them. So. And if you didn't think that was a neat example, too bad. Okay. So the other bit is taking those data quality dimensions, you know, and the overall path to accuracy. We're looking ultimately for accuracy as our as our end goal. So, you know, all this is showing, albeit very slowly, because the Wi-Fi's died on us, is yeah, you saw that going Wi-Fi busy in the corner. Yeah, is what we're doing is, yeah, we're kind of plotting here the effort or the cost and the confidence. So validity, yeah, that gives you a little bit of confidence. Integrity, so that's you know, one of the measures. Credibility, that's another, you know, measure within consistency. And finally, we're getting towards, you know, overall accuracy. So what we're doing is we're moving from, if you like, we're moving from syntax accuracy, you know, is it the right format, through to meaning accuracy. So that's kind of what we're doing, is we're moving up that overall path. And it's, yeah, at the end of the day, it's up to you, your business areas, as to how, yeah, you know, how important these are, you know, how much effort, how much time you want to spend on it. What we could do, Ali, is we could kind of wrap it, and I'll I'll get the exercise. You know that exercise I showed you at the end.
Yeah. You want to show them the tools first?
If we can get back one more time, we'll show you tools. Then we'll get into a little fun exercise. Okay. Yeah. So, because I think we're struggling with technology here, aren't we, today?